So Charlie Kirk gets pew-pewed, and now we're finding black boys hanging from trees. It's your boy Youngstar63 Fat Jarrett, the DJ. I need you to like, comment, follow, share, and get into this because they love the smell of a lynching in the morning. Yeah, so down in the valley where the girls get naked, that's Mississippi if you don't know, the Delta Valley, Delta State University. In the woods around that university, they found a student hanging from a tree. His name was DeMar Travion Reed, affectionately known as Trey Reed. Trey Reed was from Grenada. He was 21 years old, and they found that boy hanging from a tree. Hanging from a tree. Real strange coincidence that this happens right after several HBCUs were threatened in retaliation to the unaliving of Charlie Kirk. Real coincidence, right? Yes, and of course you know the police have enrolled no foul play. DeMar Travion put himself up there and took his own life. That's what they said. One small problem. Why is his arm broken? Why is he all beat the fuck up? He beat himself up before he got up there? Second problem. Let me tell you, there are a lot of black people in this country with thoughts of unaliving themselves. A lot of us have these thoughts often. You feel me? America is a hard place to be black. But let me tell you one thing, I promise, ain't none of us going out by tree. That's something we done had enough of. Y'all done did enough of that. Ain't no black person in America gonna unalive themselves by lynching. I'm sorry. Even if they decided they was gonna hang themselves, it's gonna be in a jail cell, or it's gonna be off a doorknob, or it's gonna be off we ain't doing it off no tree. Fuck out of here. Even if I knew somebody who wanted to unalive themselves and they told me they were going to unalive themselves and I decided in some unhumane way I was going to support them and be like, okay, go ahead and do what you got to do if you feel like you're going to do that. And they told me they were going to go hang themselves off of a tree. Bro. Nah, you ain't doing it that way. Pick a different way, bro. Seriously, pick a different way. I'd like to know what y'all think about this. But the third problem that we have, before you do hop in these comments and tell me what you think about this, I'm hearing rumors that they found a second body this morning. They found Trey on Sunday. What's going on?
The other day, I said that a black person could die and nobody's gonna care. Yet, everybody on the internet is crying because Charlie Kirk died. R.I.P. to Charlie Kirk. But the fact that literally this kid, Trey Reed, was hung on a tree and they deemed it a suicide. And it literally proved my point within days that don't nobody give a fuck. Oh no, I'm not about to sit here and cry about Charlie Kirk when they found the guy who killed Charlie Kirk. What about Trey? About Trey Reed? What about him? And y'all get on the internet and was getting in my comments talking about but y'all cried over George Floyd. What? Y'all are so unserious. I can't take anything that y'all say seriously. Because to literally compare a person who died who didn't get justice to a person who literally they immediately went and found who killed this guy. Because y'all like to say all lives matter. Y'all like to say we care about everybody. But when it's time to care, everyone's silent. Where's your crying about Trey Reed? I know y'all don't know him. But I mean, he was hung from a tree. Oh, yeah.
So violence is never the answer until it's one of us, right? I have not seen a single person say, rest in peace, have empathy. It's giving selective empathy is what it's giving. Y'all need to fuck out of here with your racist bullshit.
First off, rest in peace to Trey Reed. But one thing I genuinely don't understand, and no, we're not even going to say understand because nothing they do makes sense to be understood in the first place. But the thing that's just genuinely disturbing is that it seems like it's every year a black person ends up getting found hanging from a tree in an extremely racist state, and it's just automatically, oh, they off themselves. Like, yo, there's multiple cases of black people being found deceased in sundown towns and them just ruling it as a suicide. Why would a black person go to a sundown town to off themselves? Huh? Yo, it's like they try to gaslight us at least once a year with this. And in the Trey Reed case specifically, we live in a digital time, right? We just saw somebody get cooked last week. You mean to tell me nobody saw this guy walk to this tree, throw the rope over, hoist himself up, and no, because it didn't happen. It didn't happen. He didn't do that to himself.
Trey Reed, a 21-year-old black man and Delta State University college student, was found hanging on his college campus in a public area. The Delta State University police say no foul play is suspected. And I just have to ask, do you think we're fucking stupid? Anytime local law enforcement finds a Black American hung publicly and want to say no foul play is suspected, it's a suicide, do you think we're fucking stupid? If we were to believe law enforcement on that, then someone needs to study why Black Americans seem to be the only demographic in the fucking world that commit suicide so frequently by public hanging in an act reminiscent of the most notorious and prevalent historical hate crime against their community. Interestingly enough, there always seems to be an uptick in these alleged suicides when there's an uptick in white supremacist activity. I will be reposting people talking about this and any news updates that I see. I hope that public pressure can ensure a thorough investigation is done on Trey Reed's death, and that if this was not a suicide and foul play did indeed happen, Trey Reed's family gets the justice they deserve.
This is Trey Reed. I want you to know his name, see his face. He's the 21-year-old Black man found in a tree in Mississippi yesterday on the campus of Delta State. Now, the official line from law enforcement is that no foul play is suspected, despite reports that he had broken limbs that would have prevented him from ending up in that tree of his own accord. Now, the official statement from the coroner's office is that it's still under investigation, but there's no foul play suspected. But excuse me, if as a woman from the North, if I'm not immediately buying the line from law enforcement in the state of Mississippi when it comes to a young Black man found in a tree. I know enough about our history as a nation to immediately question anything that comes from them. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told the folks that were in my live last night when we were discussing this. Wait for the family's response. We have yet to get an official statement from the family other than they do not want photos of Trey in that tree circulating on the internet. I certainly hope they are abiding by those wishes, but wait for the family's next move. If they hire an independent investigator, demand an independent autopsy, hire an attorney, that's when we need to force national media to cover this, not just social media. But this is Trey Reed. Know his name. Remember his face.
Student from Delta State University in Mississippi was found hanging from a tree yesterday, September 15th, at around 7 o'clock in the morning. He was found. This is a very tragic situation, and I'm saying this with a heavy heart. His name was Trey Reed, and he was only 21 years old. They're saying that there's no evidence of foul play at this time. Officials are saying that there is no ongoing threat and the campus is safe. This happened near the pickleball court that is in the central part of the campus. There has to be some kind of cameras somewhere that's seen something, and if somebody was involved with this, justice needs to be served. Thoughts and prayers to Trey Reed's family and friends. This happened on the 100th anniversary of the Delta State University, and class was canceled. Have you heard this story? And let me know what you think about this down below in the comments.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like you've heard in the videos, we have a situation unfolding that's hard to guys. I'm sure now you've heard about the case of Trey Reed. Yeah, just in case you're not updated, I'm sure you'll get it. The young man was found hanging from a tree at Delta State University in the early hours, just 3 days after the unaliving of Charlie Kirk. Authorities have already ruled it as a suicide, claiming that there's no foul play suspected. But let's pause for a minute. Let's think about that for a minute, because there's something about Black American history that you need to understand. Historically, Black Americans don't have it in them to end their lives by hanging themselves from a tree. That's not how this story usually goes. What's even more troubling is that Trey was discovered lifeless with broken legs. Allegedly, I'm not sure about the broken legs part, and yet officials are still saying this was intentional. You and I both know how this sounds. This is a long, painful history of Black Americans being found hanging from trees, and almost every time the officials, the line is always, it's the same all the time. It's foul play suspected all the time. And it's hard not to notice, the timing. This happened just days after Chelly's unaliving. Now, I'm not making any claims, but based on what's already circulating online, it does start, to look like an eye for an eye moment. It's giving selective empathy, especially when you compare the outrage we just saw from the right wing over Charlie. Remember the chants of white man fight, white man fight. Where is that same energy for a black first year student whose life was cut short in such a disturbing way? Let's keep watching how this unfolds. Go ahead, drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll come back at the end of this video to give my own final thoughts. Let's watch this.
So apparently a black man was just found at Delta University hanging from a tree. Now y'all should already know where the hell I'm finna go with this. Now I want y'all to keep in mind that it has been threats for the last week at HBCUs in the whole country. Racial tensions have been high since the Charlie Kirk situation. And yet y'all think this shit a coincidence. Y'all just consider this a regular fucking suicide. Every article that you read on a situation literally said that there was no foul play. How often, when suicides get reported, it's a person hanging themselves from a tree? Like, be so fucking for real. Then it was also reported that he had bruises and broken legs. How the fuck can you hang yourself from a tree with broken legs? What just kills me is this is not the first time that this hasn't happened in Mississippi. A couple months back, the same situation happened, except the difference is it was in front of a fucking elementary school. And they said the same thing. It was just a suicide. It doesn't take rocket science to figure out what the fuck is going on here. So if you're black, a person of color, please, when you go outside at night, when you go out in general, watch your fucking back. Protect yourself by any means necessary. These white folks are out here losing their motherfucking mind. At this point, I wouldn't even think it would be a stretch to call this shit a race war, because it's getting there. This shit is not a coincidence. This shit is not happening for no reason. But they're going to make it seem like it is. They're going to make it seem like it's fucking nothing. It's Mississippi, for fucking God's sake. And Tate Reeves, I hope somebody beat the fuck. Never mind, it's not that time for that. But Tate Reeves, I just find it very funny how you had every fucking thing to say when it came to Charlie Kirk's death, but yet did not acknowledge one time about this situation that's going on in the state that you are governor in. But honestly, are we surprised though? To me, this is just the fucking beginning. Black people, y'all have the Second Amendment also. Y'all have the right to bear arms too. Arm yourself. Protect yourself. Because this shit is getting crazy. And I tell y'all what, they're not going to stop right now. It's only the beginning. So my advice for me to you is strap the fuck up. Protect yourself. And to all you racist motherfuckers out there, the revolution will be televised. And Tate Reeves, I hope you burn in fucking hell.
Someone with a brain, please explain to me why they're not talking about the 21-year-old black student that was just found hanging at a college campus. 7 a.m. Monday morning, a student found an African-American 21-year-old hanging from a tree at Delta State University. DSU has canceled classes and all campus activity after the discovery of the student's body was found near the center of campus. Authorities said the 21-year-old Trey Reed of Grenadad was found hanging from a tree near the university's pickleball court. Fellow African-American students are requesting to know what happened. Because I am a black student, hearing that happened to another black student, it really made me feel It makes me feel unsafe. Another student was quoted saying, "I have to walk to class and I have to walk down the track. It would be nice to know what actually happened." Student's family is begging for transparency. Please do your own research on this. Do not let them sweep anything under the rug. Enough is enough. But no further information has been given. An initial report saying that he had a broken leg, they will not back any of that information up. So what actually happens to the black student they found hanging this morning at a university?
Trey Reed was found hanging from a tree at Delta State University in Mississippi. And this happened on Delta State University's 100th anniversary. And I'll tell you exactly why that's so much fucking darker than people are making it out to be. One, that specific university has a very deep and dark history. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I can entirely talk about it on TikTok without my video being removed. But the fact that this is not the only black man in Mississippi, might I mention, this week that has been found in such a state is truly alarming, and so much more attention needs to be on these stories, especially when it comes to Corey Zucaitis. case. There's a couple of photos that are circulating around the internet. I'm sure everybody's aware of them. It does seem as if this situation is being downplayed. And then, of course, you have this argument that's going on for whatever ungodly fucking reason, as if certain people in our society don't experience much more oppression than the average citizen. But the most fucked up part about all of this is the fact that this is happening in the midst of a Washington Post report that every single person, especially in America, needs to be aware of right now. Now, a spokesperson for the Department of the Interior says that this report is based on anonymous sources. Let me just make that clear real quick. God forbid AI from finding an excuse to take this video down. But anyways, the Washington Post report of this administration ordering multiple national parks to remove information about slave you-know-what. But that's not it, because based upon the report, this is part of his executive order to eliminate corrosive ideologies, in quotations, including the removal of history at Harper's Ferry Park in West Virginia. Now that's one we really need to be talking about, where the abolitionist John Brown led the raid to arm slaves to revolt. Good man. Anyways, in the process, an iconic photograph that for some reason I can't post, known as the Scourged Black, which depicts a slave likely named Peter Gordon in 1863. But specifically, the wounds that were inflicted by his abusers. So to me, that would feel concerning. And once again, I honestly feel as if there is a push at play for a reaction to occur. And I just want you to know, the people's time will come very soon. I promise, I guarantee you, the universe is going to give you all of what you need to be able to feel as if you are righteous. Everybody across the entire, well, I can't say globe, and we'll just save that for another video, but I'm sure you get it. And right now, so many more eyes should be on Trey and Corey. Every person right now is showing or is going to be showing their true colors. And honestly, at this point, I don't know how anybody could support the decisions that have been made or the actions that have been taken. First of all, we want the motherfucking list. Second of all, we do not want to be involved in another useless motherfucking war involving innocent women and children that didn't ask to be a part of it to begin with. And you still don't consider that shit to be a genocide? What the fuck is wrong with so many of you? We want justice for not only Trey and Corey, but all of the individuals throughout so many years that have suffered at the hands of our true oppressors. If you understood the truth of why we are truly divided, you would never want to be divided again.
Okay, so as we wrap up this video, I think it's important to really sit with what just happened at Delta State University. Trey Reed was a young black first-year student with his entire life ahead of him, and yet he was found hanging from a tree, lifeless, with broken legs, allegedly. I'm not sure about that part. Okay, I'm reporting this. I'm giving my commentary based off on what I saw online. So I'm not sure about the broken legs part. And what is bothering is that the official statement from authorities is that there was no foul play suspected. They're calling it, unaliving himself. But if you know anything about Black American history, if you've paid attention to the painful patterns that keep repeating themselves, you know how deeply unsettling that explanation is. Historically, Black Americans do not, do such things. Okay, I'm just gonna put it like that. That method of unaliving themselves, carries a weight, a terror, and a history that is not accidental. It's a method that was used for generations to send a message of intimidation and dominance. It is tied to, lynching, to public spectacles of violence, and to a time when black bodies were treated as targets for hate. So not in a million times would any black person think of ending things like that, you know what I mean? So for decades, black men and women were found hanging from trees in towns across America, and time again, the official narrative was the same: no foul play suspected. Authorities would write it off as, suicide, while families, neighbors, and entire communities were left with unanswered questions and broken hearts. This is not ancient history. These cases have surfaced again and again, even in recent years, and every time the story is eerily familiar. A family black person is found hanging. Law enforcement quickly rules it as unaliving themselves, and the larger public either looks away or forgets. This is why so many people are struggling to accept that what they are being told about Trey Reed, the broken legs alone, raised questions. The timing raises questions, and the history behind it all demands that we at least, investigate more. The authorities need to do better. They need to do better. They need to investigate more. And what makes this even more disturbing is how quiet the reactions has been. 3 days after the unaliving of Charlie Kirk, we watched an entire political movement explode with outrage. We heard chants of white man fight back. Social media feeds, they were busy. News outlets couldn't stop talking about it. People who had never even met Charlie were demanding justice, demanding actions, demanding answers, and yet here we are with a young black student under suspicious circumstances, and the response is silence. Where is the same energy now? Where are the hashtags? Where is the wall-to-wall coverage? Where is the flood of voices demanding that this case be investigated fully and transparently? This isn't about putting one tragedy against another. It's about recognizing what I'm calling selective empathy at play. When a white conservative figure is killed, the outrage is immediate and deafening. But when a black student is found hanging from a tree with a history of racial terror written into every branch and every robe, the world suddenly forgets how to be, outraged. And that silence is not just hateful. It's so disappointing because silence sends a message. Silence tells the authorities that they can close the case without answers. Silence tells the generation that some lives will always matterless. Let me put it that way. Yeah, I'm not here to make wild claims or push conspiracy theories. I'm here to point to what history has already taught us. Black Americans have learned, they've lived with that history. They have buried their loved ones while hearing the same tired explanations. They have been taught to accept unaliving, you know what I mean, the S word, when all the signs point to something else. And every time, the world's lack of agency makes it easier for these stories to fade away. Trey Reed deserves more than that. His family deserves more than that. His community deserves more than that. His friends. The timing of this tragedy coming just days after Charlie's unaliving is impossible to ignore. I'm not saying one event caused the other, but I'm saying that when violence and hate and racial tension are already in the air, we have to pay attention when a black young man is found unalived in a way that screams the ugliest chapters of American history. We have to question why so many people can mobilize overnight for some lives while others are left to die quietly under a tree. So as we close this video, I want you guys to think about the weight of this moment. Think about what it means that a black student can be found hanging from a tree in 2025, and the first response from the house in power is to shrug and say no foul play suspected. Think about how many times this exact sentence has been used to bury the truth, and then think about your own voice, because silence is exactly what allows history to repeat itself. So I'm sharing this video, the reaction videos concerning this, and I hope that you guys are going to share this video as well. So go ahead, drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. Share this story, talk about it with the people around you. Don't let Trey Reed become another name that disappears into a file marked closed. If this is one thing we can learn, if there's one thing we can learn from history, it's that justice only comes when people refuse to look away. So let's refuse. Let's demand answers, and let's honor Trey Reed by making sure the world knows his name and understands the weight of what happened at Delta State University. Because whether the authorities want to admit it or not, history is speaking loud and clear, and it's up to us to listen. I'll definitely see you in my next video. Stay peaceful.